I-95 is the main street of the East Coast. It's your highway, connecting people and places and businesses. Most of I-95 in North Carolina was built between the 1950s and the 1980s, with the exception of some sections near Fayetteville and the I-95 I-40 interchange near Benson. It's basically the same four-lane highway as it was decades ago, and its age is starting to show. Safety is a primary concern on this well-traveled highway. The News and Observer called I-95 North Carolina's deadliest interstate, stating that crashes in which people die happen on I-95 at twice the rate of any other interstate in North Carolina. People have expressed concern about safety on this important highway. The increasing number of vehicles on the road, as well as traffic caused by collisions and holidays, are critical issues for those who live near and regularly use I-95. As each year passes, the amount of truck traffic continues to increase. I-95 was not built to handle this much truck traffic. In some locations, shoulders need to be widened, bridges need to be raised, and medians are too narrow. All of these issues can lead to challenges for trucks and travelers alike. Pavement and bridge conditions along I-95 are also a concern. Between 1/3 and 1/2 of the pavement along I-95 in North Carolina is not in good condition and will need to be fixed or replaced within the next 10 years. Bridges on I-95 also need some work. Of the 188 bridges over I-95 in North Carolina, 88 have already been identified as needing repair or replacement. In 2009, NCDOT determined that we needed to take a big picture look at the entire length of I-95 in our state. That's when the I-95 Corridor Planning and Finance Study began to take root. The goal of the study is simple: to study what we need to do to improve the way I-95 works and make it safer and more efficient for locals and out-of-state travelers, and to find ways to pay for it all. We want I-95 to be a viable resource for North Carolina citizens and visitors, both now and into the future. The Planning and Finance Study is the first step to improving this vital corridor through North Carolina. We're doing an overall assessment of I-95 and creating a blueprint for improving the entire road. There are several key elements of the I-95 corridor study. Assessment of needs and alternatives. NCDOT identified what the key issues are and what needs to be fixed. Traffic model. We had to determine how much traffic is out there and where it comes from, both now and what is expected in the future. The surrounding area. It was also important to do a high-level survey of what might be affected both on and near I-95 when the road is improved, such as homes, businesses, wetlands, historic sites, and existing right-of-way. Improvement alternatives. There were many strategies proposed to improve I-95, and each one was thoroughly investigated. These options ranged from taking no action to moving I-95. Recommended improvements. Ultimately, the recommended approach to improving I-95 involves adding lanes on the existing highway, as well as replacing pavement and making necessary bridge repairs. Funding. After the study showed us that I-95 definitely had some areas that needed upgrading, and we determined the best way to make these improvements, the big question was, how much was this going to cost? Our study showed that the approximate cost for all these recommended improvements is $3.5 billion to $3.7 billion. With such a big price tag, NCDOT had to look at all possible options for paying for these improvements. We investigated various funding methods to determine the best choice. If NCDOT spent every dollar available for the 11 counties near I-95 and didn't do anything but improve I-95, it would still take 60 years to complete this project. NCDOT determined that the best, most efficient way to pay for the I-95 improvements is through tolling. The price of the tolls will be based on how much we have to borrow to make these improvements and keep I-95 in good working order. Our goal is to keep toll prices as low as possible. Tolling technology has come a long way. Today it's all electronic, meaning you never have to stop at a toll booth or run into bottlenecks. A simple structure called a gantry is used to automatically collect tolls as vehicles drive underneath. I-95 is your highway, and we want your input. No matter if you travel I-95 on a daily basis or only a few times a year, your thoughts and insights will help us as we continue to fine-tune the planning and finance study in order to implement the ultimate improvements. Tonight we have informative boards and maps, as well as the full environmental assessment report available. These will help explain the study and what happens next. Staff members are here to answer questions you may have. You can also share your comments by email, traditional mail, or posting them online at www.driving95.com and on our Facebook and Twitter pages by March 13, 2012.